Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Today we are going to talk about the books that I read in January, which started off as a really great reading month for 2025, where I ended up reading 68 books. I know, it's a lot. And honestly, I am gonna chop it down where I talk about some of these because I don't want to sit here for that long. That is a lot of books to go through. I guess it will make more sense as I go through them. But let's just get started. I started off 2025 with reading 25 mangas in 25 hours. Now, normally I would go through them and give you quick thoughts, but I literally made a vlog doing this challenge where I literally give you quick thoughts. I would just repeat myself as I did in that vlog. So I would just quickly show you the pile if I can somehow manage to get the pile out. So the vlog with my quick thoughts for all the 25 manga I read in those 25 hours is up already, and I will leave it linked down below. So going through them, if you care, let's see. I need to put a little pile of books there. We have Chainsaw Man Volume 15, Monster Perfect Edition Volume 3, To Your Eternity Volume 9, Mashal Volume 3, Ancient Magus Bride Volume 7, Banana Fish Volume 7, Komi Can Communicate Volume 9, Flowers of Evil Complete Volume 3, Snow White with the Red Hair Volume 5, Land of the Lustrous Volume 11, Toko Revengers Volume 7 and 8, Apothecary Diaries Volume 3, Jujutsu Kaisen Volume 23, Banana Fish Volume 8, My Dress Up Darling Volume 11, Banana Fish Volume 9, Bingo Stray Dogs Volume 24, Oshinoko Volume 7, Chainsaw Man Volume 16, Love is War Volume 6, Banana Fish Volume 10 and Banana Fish Volume 11, My Hero Academia Volume 39, Toilet Bon Hanako-kun Volume 9, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 2 Volume 3. That was all the books I read for 25 manga in 25 hours. You need to see the vlog of how I honestly thought I would not make it, but obviously as you can see here I did make it, so spoilers for my own vlog. That means that we happily now skipped ahead 25 books for this wrap up. The next book I read was The Eyes Are the Best Part by Monica Kim. So this was an audio for this book club I am in, and I have the Illumicate edition. I read it on audio as I said, and it follows this young college student that their father has just left the family and her mother's really struggling, gets this obsession with ice, and then she might go on this little killing spree and eating people's eyes, and it's really weird, but it is very dark as well. And then it brings up family trauma and then generational trauma and racism and other themes and sexism, and I was just like, wow, we're bringing in a lot of topics in this book while at the same time murdering people. I thought it was a good time. I like the voice of our main character, even though clearly she's on some sort of thing, and then I like the story, and even though it was a bit, I was gonna say silly, maybe ridiculous is a word for how it all wrapped up in the end, I still had a good time with it. I enjoyed it overall. I liked how it carried many different things, and then at the same time was this horror thing as well. I really enjoyed it actually, and I give it a strong 4 out of 5 stars. Now I started my Illumicate vlog, so I read a lot of books for Illumicate. A part of me wanted to be do I even mention them in the wrap-up, since then I feel I'm spoiling my Illumicate vlog, but then I realized a lot of people is not going to watch my Illumicate vlog and my wrap-up probably, and then I thought I could just quickly talk about those books anyway. The next one I read was When We Collided, which is a YA contemporary for the Illumicate vlog. I thought this girl just moved to a new small time place, and then she meets this dude with a big family who's struggling a lot after his dad passed away, and then they get this connection, and she's very wild and very free, and then they bond and have a good time together. But then we found out that she has not taken her medication. She's just been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and then she's struggling a lot, but we can't really see it on the outside. So it's a book to create a bit more awareness for that, etc. I liked it fine. I just didn't see why they liked each other, honestly, and I like the characters more separately than together, and I do believe I gave it a 2.53. Then right after all of the manga I just showed you, me and Cecilia did manga night, so I read a bunch more manga, which is a bit funny. I actually read One Piece Omnibus Volume, it doesn't even say, but I think I wrote down, it is 17, Omnibus Volume 17, and it was super fun to go back. And then I finished Thriller Bark. I made a video, but I haven't actually posted it. Love. I haven't read One Piece since May last year, so it's great to do so now. Right after that, I had time for some more manga for manga night, so I read Soichi, which is by Junji Ito, and it is about many different short stories with Soichi, which he is not a bit like Tomiya, where lots of different stories surrounding one character and like lots of different characters and how they interact with that character, and it's like all horror-y and terrible and it doesn't go well. But I thought it was really fun. And then right after Dead by Daylight released skins, and then Soichi was one of the skins. I thought that was fun since I just read it. But yeah, Unhinged second son of the Tsuji family, indeed. So yeah, I enjoyed this a lot actually. I got to Witch Hat Atelier Volume 6, which just follows this witch who is being taught witch things so that she can break this thing she did to her mother basically. But then now we're on trials and witch stuff, and it's a good time. And then I read another volume of Apothecary Diaries, Volume 4. This is like a court-like thing where we have an apothecarist, is that what you would say? She detects poisons, etc. for the royal family. We are in this court and there's drama there happening. It's a good time. Then I listened to some audio for Illumicrate books as well, which is like further down on the list, so that like it's less to read with my eyeballs later, and like also things that, for example, is not available in like, I was gonna say an ebook, like they're only available in audio, for example. So then I listen to the audio, so like I get through that. And the first one I listened to was Fat Mo Folk by Elisa Chan. This was a really, really weird book. I struggled a bit with following what was going on. We have like 3 different POVs that all comes from like different places in this world that has been created, where we have like sea folk and then humans, and they're supposed to live in harmony, but they kind of discriminate against the like sea folk all the time. And the sea folk, there's different like, some sea folk live in super poverty and like they're not doing well at all. And then we have one of my characters who has like managed to like raise up an army. She's like the first one who has managed to do so, and she's from the sea folk. While we have another characters like they are from the like the dragon sea folk, and they're regarded really highly because they're really cool and like powerful. And then she dates a dragon, and then the dragon sister's also coming after she's gone into some trouble. And then we also like have like a sea witch person that makes deals and stuff. I see what Oliver was trying to do here, but I do think it was a bit messy. It was definitely like repeating itself a lot as well. Like a character was keep doing the same mistakes over and over, and that was a bit annoying. I do think the world was interesting, but like it was never explained really well. So it took me a minute to like really get on how this world worked. But I do think that it was trying to do things, and I was invested in parts of the story. But honestly, some of the POVs here were so annoying because of the repeated mistakes over and over. So yeah, but I felt fine about it all. I just wasn't like, oh my god, best book ever. And then a 3-star for this one. And then in the Lumicrate vlog, I am saying I will be more like go into more detail, but I don't know, is there time in that vlog? I don't know. Then I had some sprints, and I read Her Soul to Take by Harley Laroux, which seems super random, but I need to clear space on my Kindle Unlimited because I have like full library there, so I need to clear one, and then I picked at random. So it ended up being this one. This one is like a girl who summons a demon, and then they start having sex basically, and then they try to solve these murders, and then there's lots of sex, and then there's like people after them. I thought it was quite fun, honestly. I had a good time. I did actually expect it to be very, very bad. I don't know why. Because like just people had talked about it, I feel like they didn't like it. And then just like some of like the smutches I've been reading lately haven't been particularly good. But this one was just a good time. I was just like, I had a fun time. I like the characters, I like their connection. I know it's 2 more books in the series that follows 2 other couplings, pairs with like 2 other demons and 2 other humans. And I was just like, I want to read those now. So like, it was a good enough time for me to want to read the sequels, and I had a fun time with it, and I really enjoyed it. I do believe I gave it a 4. Then it was time for me to read another graphic novel, which is Witch, Volume 5, which is, you know which maybe. It's these girls, magical girls, and then now we are in this thing trying to feed this woman that really truly tricked them, and I'm excited to continue. I have the whole series that was never completed. It's on my list, so I shall complete it, is what I got to say. And I give this a 4. I enjoyed it much more than the last one, but I do believe I get it a 4 as well. I don't really give like ratings in the same way in graphics, I feel like. Anyway, then I read something that I feel feels very random, but I read Assassin's Blade and Throne of Glass. It's because Erica, my best friend, we listened to audiobook together, and then she wanted to read Throne of Glass series, and I kind of want to reread them, so I want to reread them with her. She did not want to reread Assassin's Blade though, because she already read that before. She never continued because of the things that happened in the end in this one, and she said, if I read that again, I'm never actually going to continue the series. So I reread Assassin's Blade alone, and in the beginning I was like, this is so cringy, why did I like this? I hate it here. But then after a while, as I got like more into like the short stories, I have obviously read it before, I enjoyed it much more, and I was like, damn, now I'm having more of a good time. I don't remember, I feel like I gave this a 3 though, which is a lower rating than the first time I read it when I gave it a 4. Then Throne of Glass came off hold to line in the library. So Throne of Glass reread, and I was like, oh my god, this is so boring. Like, honestly, I was just not having a good time that much. And then it was like, the parts was very entertaining, but other parts I was like, this is not even interesting. I don't even care about who was being murdered. So it follows the leader Sardartian, who's like the most notorious, which is the word we use, an assassin in this world, and then she needs to enter this competition in here to earn her freedom, and then people start dying, and then we are investigating. She's supposed to be 18. I honestly thought she was 16, but she's 16 in this movie. It is like some stabbing in here, which is fun, and this one, there's so much to her character because you didn't know about the things in Assassin Blade when you first read this, when it was released. I do think it gives good substance to her character together. We were going to listen to the first one, and then I was going to ask Erica if she still want to continue, and she does, and I'm like, okay. But actually, Crown of Midnight is my favorite, so I'm hoping that I will feel more love for the series again. But I gave this a 3. I gave this a 3. I did give A Throne of God 3 initially when I first read it, because Alina annoys me a lot in that book, and the way it's written is not really like particularly super good. But I am hoping that I will like more as we continue. Then I read Diabolic by S.J. Kincaid, which was for the Lumicron vlog. I owned this for years and years and years, and now I finally read it. So this one follows Nemesis, who is a Diabolic. They were outlawed a long time ago, which was basically a autonomous person creation that is connected to one person to protect them, and she was connected to this one girl that is like kind of one of the, you can say like one of the ruling families in one of the planets. But then her father, that girl is like messing stuff up, so they need to send the daughter to the capital so that like they can control him, and then they send Nemesis instead, in her stead. Like, she's pretending to be the person she's connected to. She enters this world of politics, etc. She needs to act human. If she figure out who she is, they will kill her. I actually thought this was very fun, much more fun than I thought it would be. I had a good time with the characters. I really was invested in that, and the world was interesting. It's like a sci-fi cool world where the people who are like trying to change things, because like the father of like the girl that she's connected to, he just wants to like study science, because they have in this world forgotten how like they made everything around them, like the ships, the technology. They've forgotten it because like everything became automatic, and now they've forgotten how to use it. So like if something breaks, they can't fix it, and then like the government or whatever is like, no, or the royal family or whatever is like, no, if you study stuff, you like, we will execute you. And I think that's very interesting. Like, why is it like this? I don't know, but I think it's interesting. And then she also like gets maybe a thing with this dude, and yeah, so like I thought it was interesting concepts and like things happening in the story. I think that some parts of like the actual plot could have been like better, but it was intriguing enough for me to maybe want to see what's going on. But then I found out it was a trilogy, and I'm like, is the second book going to mean anything? Probably not. And then I need to wait until the third book for anything to conclude. But I want to know what's going to happen. So here we are. But it was like much better time than I thought it would be, and I gave it a 3. I said I was going to talk shortly about this book from Illumicrate, but now I'm talking so long. Then we have Malice by John Gwynne, which was the first book in Casual Book Club, and this one is a high epic fantasy, and I don't really know how to describe it, but we basically have many POVs, and then things are returning to the world. There's war brewing, there is stabbing, there is politics happening. We are fighting giants, but are they evil? I don't know. It's just a lot of like loyalty and questionable things, and wars and many kings and kingdoms. It's a bit confusing, but only when you get an overview, it is kind of fun to see it play out. I think it's a fine start. I'm giving it a 3, and I have actually read it before, but now I'm like really like concentrated reading it much more than I was the first time, to like really soak up all the details, because I like ended up not really enjoying it the first time I read it, but I'm hoping I will feel differently now. And then I also better read it with my friends so that we could like discuss things together as well, like on top of the Catch Up Book Club, so that when I'm actually reading it, I'm not alone in it either. But yeah, I'm hoping that it will be eye-opening to read the next books in the series, so that's, I will love it much more than the first time I read it. But it was still a good time, and I'm excited to be in the book club and discuss the books. Please don't fall. Then I read Artemis by Annie Weir, another Illumicrate book, which is a sci-fi, and we are in the future, and then people living on the moon. We have one character who's living on the moon, and then she's hired to do this heist thing, and then everything goes awry in a way. It was fun to explore like the technical aspects of the story of living on the moon. Like, it goes into detail explaining it, but in a way that you understand it. There was some like politicking of like the heist thing, and then she's very much like a person pushing people away and thinking she has no one, but then it turns out she has lots of people around her that care for her and want to be her friend. I thought that it was fine. I just kind of didn't like her main character, and then I didn't think the plot was that interesting, but I was gonna say world, and the way it was written was fine, so I give it a okay 3. Then there was a time for another graphic novel. A lot of graphic novels after one another because I had to skip over them when I was reading for manga. So that's why all of these came after one another. We have Lord Olympus Volume 5, which is a Hades and Persephone retelling, and it's very, very pretty with really pretty art, and they are developing their relationship. And oh, there was a receipt in there. How long are we gonna how many volumes is there in this series? I feel like we are going it's fun, and I like the art and I like the characters and I like to see the developments, but I feel like how long are we gonna do this? Because I'm just like, let's just get together. I feel like not a lot is happening. I feel like we're just going in a circle in a way, but I'm still enjoying the story and the ride nonetheless, because it's just like a manga. Like you feel like you sometimes just go in a circle, but I'm just like wondering how long is this series? I don't think it's done yet, so I'm unsure or done. I don't know. But I'm still having a good time, and I give it a 4 because I do enjoy the characters and everything. I was just like, you get what I mean. Then I read Catwoman Soul Stealer, again for the Dunkirk blog by Serge Maas, which was in the DC Icon series, where they were hired to write different DC Icon stories, and she wrote Catwoman. There was one Serge Maas I haven't read. Oh, I'm lying. I forget I haven't finished Crescent City all the time. I didn't really enjoy this one. It's about Catwoman. I don't know what else you want me to say. We have non-characters from the DC world. We are in Gotham. She is coming back to create some havoc, and then the story plays out from there. I just found it very boring. It didn't feel compelling the way the characters were there, that I actually love. I just didn't care for them, and then I didn't care for the romance, and I didn't really care for the story. So I was bored, and I gave it a 2. Read Empress of All Seasons by Miko Jean. This one is for the Dunkirk vlog, and it's she's supposed to marry the emperor or something. It was really, really weird, and I just couldn't get into it. And then there's illusions, and then we are being tested, and I didn't really care. And I guess that's all I got to say, and I gave it a 2. We had Once and Future by A.B. Capetta and Corey McCartney, which was again from Loom Crates. This is an Arthurian legend retelling in space that is queer. And then I didn't really understand anything that was going on, and I didn't really care for anything that was going on, and it's very confusing and weird and bizarre, a bit like the last one, and I gave this also a 2. Then I could read another graphic novel, or manhwa in this case. We have Killing Stalking Volume 6, and I realized there's only 8 volumes, so I'm soon done, and I am as surprised as you, because finishing stuff, what is that? Who is that? I don't know. But this one is about a killer and stalking that I was gonna say falls in love. I don't know if you can call it love. It's just terrible, honestly. They're trying to not get caught for all the murders they keep doing, and we just have them being really effed up the whole time. So my nephew is running. It's great. I like the series because it's very effed up, and it's so effed up. It's just very fascinating to read. I think it's good constructed story, but obviously it's terrible, and don't read it if you don't like really, really dark things. But that's what I want, apparently. Then I ran a bunch of Norwegian books for this award thing that I was going to be a part of to discuss at work, but now I can't go anymore. And now I just read all the books anyway, because I was just well, I already started, so let's just complete it. So the next one I read was Sirene, because I read the first one for New Year. But Sirene was by Tormod Haugland or something. Yes. This is just about a guy in the countryside that milks cows, and then he meets this woman that just suddenly arrives, and they have sex, and then they want to milk cows together. I don't know, honestly, know what's going on in this book. I didn't really particularly like it. I gave it a 2, kinda. Not kinda, I did. I do believe I gave it a 2. I should have been given a 2 if I didn't. Then, among this, I finished an audio, which was The Phoenix Keeper by S.A. McLean, which was for the Lunker vlog, obviously. And this is a zookeeper in a fantasy world, and she takes care of phoenixes, and then the phoenixes are dying out, and then she's kind of almost gets responsibility for breeding more phoenixes, and it's a whole thing. And then people are stealing rare animals, and then she's also falling for this girl that is kind of her rival, and then also she's very shy and very awkward, very, very socially awkward. There's some social anxiety in there, and she's developing and trying to do her best, and really growing herself. And this one, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed her as a character and her developments. It was very sweet and endearing. I liked her romance. I liked it a little adventure, but it wasn't saving the world. It was just her caring for these animals. Kind of, you want something low-key and not fighting against the governments of the world. This was great, and I had a good time, and I gave it a 4. Then I read The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Sci-fi, which was the Gun Machine pick for the month by Aslaug. And this one I bought at the library. I don't really know how to explain the book, but it starts off this man and his son, which is our main character, that goes to this like secret hidden library, and he finds a book there by this author, and then we find out that all the books by this author has been destroyed. So this library is like kind of a library for dead books. I wouldn't say that he's hunted, but a bit hunted, because he owns this book by this author, because everyone who has a book by this author, he like, someone is going after them and like destroying all these books. And then he grows up, like he was a child, he grows up, and then he's trying to figure out like, who was this author, who was this person. And then there's like, we go out kind of this mystery and talk to people that this author knew to try to find out what happened to him and like why someone would destroy his books. And that's kind of what we do. It's like a mystery with like historical fiction, and it's also like translated, which is really cool. It is like some romance in there, a lot of forbidden love, there's family, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was interesting. I was intrigued by reading it. But then I just felt like where are we going with this? It took a long time, and like it was a lot of people that he met that like had to tell the whole story. Like for the people I met, there was literally like a whole chapter for like several pages where like they retold the whole story from their point of view, and this kept happening. So I just kept not liking how the book was written. It's like reminding me of Witcher, when we meet characters that's gonna recap everything that happened, and like while I get like every character that we met in this book had an important purpose in a way that they gave more perspective to like this life that we are investigating, I was also just like, the way it was written felt very like we kept switching these point of views. We kept these really, really long stories. It is made into be like, oh my god, it all hangs together. Oh my god, it's so beautiful. But I was just sitting there like, it was fine. Like, I didn't hate it or anything like that. I thought it was a nice written book. I think it's nice to have read this book because, like, apparently I had it on my TBR in 2015, so it's apparently nice to do that as well. And, like, a lone, like, kind of fiction book, I don't mind reading it. I thought that it still flowed well, and I still enjoyed it, and I wanted to see what was the actual answers. But in the end, I was just left with like, oh, in a way, even though like the ending after like the actual answers, and then we had like an ending after that, I thought that part was beautiful. But I do think that the author tried to do a lot of things. He was trying to be very smart, and I was just sitting here like, not that he wasn't, but maybe I just felt like it was trying to be so smart that it lost me a bit in a way. So I gave it a strong like 3.5. Then I read The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern, which seems maybe super random, but this was like on my list for me and Erica to read together. I took out my Lumicore edition because, well, it's also in the Lumicore vlog because it is a Lumicore book. So this one follows Zachary, who finds this book in the library, and then in that book you realize he's reading about himself. So it starts out on this investigation. I feel like this was very similar to the one I just talked about, but either way, find out like how can you have written about the book the things that haven't happened yet, and he goes out on this journey, and it's magic and wonder, and it is just a beautiful, beautiful story that really captures your heart. I really, really love it. It's one of my favorite books, and it's a bit weird and very like, but like the way Erin Morgenstern makes magic, the way magic is used, it's not like a magic system, that's not what I mean, but it's just like magical. Like we go to an hotel and it's magic, and like the way it works there, it's not like a normal hotel because it's magic. And I just think that is cool. Like I miss like small parts, I don't know how to describe, like small things being magic in a magical world, instead of it necessarily being like, oh, but they need to be the most powerful thing ever, or it needs to be like, obviously I love a magic system that is really cool, but it's like the way, if you live in a magical world, why are you not using more magic? And I feel like it's done really well here, and that's one of my favorite parts. There's lots of stories within stories in this one as well, which is ironic since I just talked about it in the other book, but the way that it's done here, it's also clever, but it's also just like, it's like magical stories, so it feels very different. And yeah, I love it so much, and it is a 5-star book for me. Oh my god, I was looking at my list and a whole pile of manga just fell on me. I don't know if the camera caught that, but it literally just like fell in my lap, and the camera moved, and oh my god, that was scary. I think I got everything. That was traumatizing. Then I finished Truth and Dare by Non Pratt. I had to borrow it like far away from another library, and this follows two young people that decides to make a YouTube channel where they dare things because they're trying to raise money for his brother that was just in this accident that made him very disabled. And then the YouTube channel goes a bit out of proportion, and then in the first part of the book we follow one POV, and then I have to turn the book to follow the other POV of the other character, then also mixing up with another POV of the other character again to give like more perspective. It was an interesting story overall. I do think the way it brought up like disabilities, in my opinion, I think it was done in grace in a way, and like it brought up a lot of like ableist stuff that people say and do, and like the way that it like fought back that I thought was interesting. The whole YouTube part of the story was really weird, but I liked the family aspects of it from both of the POVs, and I liked our characters when you like really got to know them, and they all like had the different struggles. The way this was like really trying to talk about many different important topics though, I was just like kind of impressed by it. But like again, like the story itself with the YouTube channel and all that was just, I was out of there because it was just saying that on YouTube. But I just meant like the way it was like just done, I was just like, it was like interesting. I don't know. So I give it a 3. So the way my list works is that I got a lot of banana fish one after one another. I had more banana fish earlier, as you saw, before like the other like 24 and 25 and 25, but I read more banana fish throughout the month, like between my books. I'm just putting them all together here, which was 4 more volumes of banana fish. So we had 12, 13, 14, and 15. I don't think I didn't get to say earlier what banana fish is about, but it is about this drug that they found out about that is called banana fish, and then they're investigating it, and they start this whole thing. It's mafias in the 1980s in New York. We have one character from Japan come over, like a journalist student, and he gets wrapped up in all of this. And we have Ash, who is a sharpshooter and also raised by one of like the biggest mafia bosses. And then there is a lot of like dark shit going on there. Like there is rape and pedophilia and drug use, obviously. There is racism in here, which I don't enjoy. And then just like darkness overall of like manipulation, etc. It's really fun to see it play out and how like they're trying to outsmart one another. I don't know if I'm the one for gangster stories, but I mean, Greenwood Saga is one of my favorites, and this is like a really good one. I do, however, know how it ends, so I'm not happy about that. But I only have a few volumes left now, so I am there for the ride. And there's like, just because of my list system, that's just why everything that came after one another. But it's great for this video because now I can take 4 books together. But yeah, some of these were really, really good. Some are not as like exciting, but some really like keeps you on the toes, and I enjoyed that a lot. Oh my god, then I read Orphanage of Gods by Helena Kogan, which was for the Lumcraft vlog I bought at the library. It was just terrible, honestly. I talk a lot about it in my Lumcraft vlog actually because I took notes of why I didn't like it. But we are set in this world where people hate the gods, we are killing them, but then they can just kill children, so they put children in this orphanage, and then when I test them when they're of a certain age to see if they have like blue blood, which is what the gods have, they're taking one of like the characters that the 2 other main characters care for away, and now they're going out to save her, and then we're just going on the road for a bit, and then we have like 2 different other books in the same book. We have like a different point of view, 3 parts, and we have like different people, so like we don't follow the same person again. And then there's like rebels, and then we're trying to fight against this, which is completely fair, but just the way like nothing was developed or explained, or just how the characters acted and changed, and I don't honestly know, and I don't want to talk more about this book, but I really did not like it. It was honestly just a bad book, which is really terrible to say, and I give it a 1 star. Then we had The Drowned Woods by Emily Lloyd Jones, which was an audio, and again for the Lumacraft vlog. Did not really enjoy this one either. It was really bizarre. We collect these people, and we used ages doing that to go on this like heist thing to stop this person, and then it goes a bit out of proportion. I do believe it has a sequel, but I honestly don't remember. And I just didn't care for the characters, and I didn't care for what they were doing, and I just, the way, I don't know how to explain exactly why, but I just like, I was just listening, and I was just like, it was not a good time for me, honestly. Again, we'll go more into detail hopefully in the Lumacraft vlog. Look out for that, and I gave this a 2. Then I read Aurora Rising by Amy Kaufman and Jake Kristoff, which was for the Lumacraft vlog. We follow this crew that has way too many people in it, and then we go out on this thing, and then people after them maybe. We have Aurora, who is like special. She has been asleep for many hundreds of years, which shouldn't happen, and people after her. And then I just didn't care for anything that happened after that, and I gave it 2 stars. Let's go to the next one. We have Blood and Sand by C.V. Wicks, which is again for the Lumacraft vlog, and this was like a Spartacus retelling, which honestly I have a soft spot for Spartacus after watching the TV show. This was kind of fun. We had like arena gladiators, them trying to become free because they are slaves, basically Spartacus, and then it ends on a huge cliffhanger, literally. And then we never get a sequel because they canceled the series. And I was just like, okay, great. But actually, I had a good time with this. I like gladiators and stuff, and I kind of care for the characters, and they were kind of fun. And yeah, especially after, The Will of the Many, etc., stuff like that, like Amber and Ashes, similar stuff set in a certain time. I enjoyed it, and I gave it a 3. Then I read more Norwegian stuff. I read Arendal by Knausgård, which was for like the thing that I'm not going to participate more in. And then it's just this dude that like gets his car breaks down in this town, and then he goes around in that town, and then he thinks about the affair he's been having, and then he goes home to his wife, and then he thinks about the affair he's been having, and he is an alcoholic, and he denies he's an alcoholic, and then the book ends. I was just like, Norwegian high literature is super weird, and I still was kind of engaged in the story. I don't know, so I gave it actually a 3 because like I was intrigued by this dude, but I don't want to say I particularly liked it. But then also it's like the 5th one in the series, but none of them hang together, but they all hang together in different ways. So then I read like the synopsis of all the other books because this was the 5th one, and this does connect with like book 2 or something. And I was like, but now I kind of want to read that. But then I'm like, oh, but I don't actually want to read more from these books. But then at the same time, they appealed to me in a way. So, but yeah, it was still weird. That's what I got to say. Then I read Aphrodite's Pool by Gat Nygaardshaug, which I was supposed to read last year as series I need to finish, and I didn't. And I had like a digital library loan, which I just wanted to read. So I read it now, and also like I was supposed to finish it last year. So here we are. But I didn't like this one at all that much. This is the 3rd one in the series. The first one is great. The second one is whatever that was. And this one was also like, we're in the future. There's also forests growing everywhere. And then we have this plane and we go somewhere. And then we have take another plane and we go somewhere else. And that was the book. And I was like, it didn't give anything. There's this father and son relationship in it that like was kind of interesting. But the way women were used in this was also super weird. And I was just, I didn't get it. I didn't get what I was trying to do. I don't want to think about it. I gave it a 2. The next one I read was Bloddråpetal by Ingrid Storholmon. This one is based on like this big like national health survey that people in this certain area in Norway have filled in every so many years, and it's about tracking their like health habits and like when people have died, what they died of, like what kind of health issues they have, to have like it's been done over like 50 plus, I don't know, 100 years, I don't know, I don't remember what it said, to like track the health of like a certain population, to see this is happening in real life. And then like the book is based on like what people have experienced and how like they feel about that health thing, and like the results of that. Like for example, one person has breast cancer and like how that has affected in the generations. Another one has another kind of cancer. There's different stuff like that. It was written kind of in like where people have like comments. It was not like a novel, it was like comments and then like parts of like survey, etc. I think it was done as an interesting project, and I obviously like learned something about like a thing that I actually didn't know existed apparently. So in that regard, it was interesting, but I just don't know like as an appeal of like a novel. I don't know. So I gave it like a 3 maybe. Then we have Sameproblemet by Katrine Nedrejo, which is about this young woman that is from Norway and she's also Sami, and then her grandmother dies, so she goes up home and she hasn't been there for like 10 years, and then she obviously is surrounded by her culture again and thinks about the daughter she has just gotten, and it's like not just gotten, like she didn't just leave her newborn child, but like she's not old, she's still a baby, and then she's just there thinking about like how she is unsure if you want her daughter to grow away from like where she comes from, and then it's a lot about like how she grew up and how people treat Sami people, and then like how all like the different stories they've been calling her, and like different traumas she's gone through, but also like what the culture really is. And then the author has written about this for like young teens as well, and I think like the theme is very important obviously, and like the representation is great obviously, so we obviously want more books like this. The only thing that held me back from really like loving it was more just like the way it was written. It was very like a long text, and then like no like dialogues was like written out at all. It was just a long text of like flashbacks and like different like thoughts and swiveling around, and I felt like it was not like bad, but I was just like, can we have a conversation once in this book? I still think it was well done, and if I can say that, I guess other Sami people should speak for that, and I gave it a 3.5 maybe. I think so. Then I read We All Fall Down by Rosa Oppo. This I had to read on audio for the Lumcraft vlog. People had given this very low ratings, and I understand why, because it was a mess. I honestly don't like know if I want to talk that long about it right now, but it is supposed to be like a very queer book. It's about these siblings that were separated when they were kids, and now we are in this town and people are killing, and then there's like no consequences for like actions to certain people. I saw that some people calling this book racist because like the author keeps making black people the bad guy, and then like there's no repercussions for the people how they treat black people in the book, and apparently it was a pattern. Supposed to be a second book, but that never came out. And then there was some gender fluidity in this, where like one character could change gender like when with no control, which is like a great concept, but like I have no idea if that was done in like a way that's for gender fluid people that felt nice, because it is from a non-binary author as well, but so I wouldn't want to speak more about it, but I didn't really see people really speak positive about that rap either. And honestly, the plot itself was a mess. Like there was murders, and then we were trying to fight each other, and there was magic there, but it couldn't use magic, and there was someone was a magic catalyst, and I was just sitting there like, what is going on? So yeah, I give it a 1 star. I just contributed to the really low rating. I would not recommend. Then I read Ikke mennesker jeg kan regne med by Sheila Andresen, which has gotten huge and really good credits in Norway. And then I finally read it, which was also for the book club thing. And then we follow this character that her husband has now left her because he had an affair and he's in love with someone else. And it's about her going on these long thought things about this. Like, this is the whole book. The whole time, the book is like this. And I just cannot, like, maybe I'm mixing this up with the other one, but the other one at least had some paragraphs, like the Sami problem, had some paragraphs and like more intriguing things that you actually wanted to read and care for. But I just like the way that we just went on these rampages, and it was just going back to the same thing over and over. Her husband left her for someone else, and she kept writing the whole name of this woman over and over and over. And yes, I do feel bad for you, because obviously that is terrible, but also I am tired of being in your head, and I don't understand why people like super love this. I wanted to fall asleep. It was not a good time, and I'm very happy I got the book for free, and that's what I got to say about that. I do believe I gave it a 2. Then I read This Time Will Be Different by Misa Sigura, which was like a YA contemporary as well, volume crate. And here we have a young Japanese girl who at school, her best friend is getting a thing with like her rivalry that she hates, and then she is falling for this one dude, and then there's like drama in school, and it was just a totally fine YA contemporary, typical shit thing, typical stuff in a YA contemporary. It was like amazing, but it wasn't terrible. It brought up different themes that is important to bring up, especially for young people. So it wasn't terrible, wasn't bad, but it was like amazing, and I give it a 3, I think. Then I read Sanctuary by V.V. James, which kept me awake for a long time because I thought I was further into the book, but also it was super exciting. And this one follows this small town where like in this world we know witches exist, and then we have this small witch family, and then someone dies and people think it's witchery, and then this whole town goes against this family. Basically this family is just a mother and a daughter, and then we also follow the detective that's on the case that is trying to solve like what actually happened. And I did think it was a intriguing mystery. I thought that the mob mentality was obviously terrible, but I did really find it interesting to follow the different characters. One of the characters wanted to strangle her because she's the one who leads this mob mentality, and then it was just a very good and interesting read, I guess. I liked the mystery for like what was going on. I liked the answers that we got, and I felt like I liked the writing and got really into care for the characters. Found out there's a TV show and now I want to watch, and I just was left with a good time, which is honestly a surprise to me as you, because honestly all the Linker books I read I have not given really good ratings for, except maybe The Phoenix Keeper and now this one, so this is a 4. I then read Angel Mage by Gartnix, which was also for Lumcrate, and I honestly did not care, did not like it, because I didn't care, and I just didn't really feel anything for it. So really not more to say than I give it a 2, and I want to forget I read it because there's nothing to remember for me. Then I read Library of Souls, which was the next one to read in my Miss Peregrine's Peculiar Children read along in my Patreon. It was nice to read this final book again. Had forgotten a lot of things that happened in the end, so it was a good time. I was shocked, and then oh my god, it ends so weird, and I'm very now intrigued to read the next ones in the series that I haven't read before, but I'd read this before. So yeah, that is what I want to say about this one, I think. And we already had a live show and had a good discussion, and I am excited for the next one, which is only the short story collection one, but then after that we're going into the next main trilogy. The last read for January was Monstrous, Volume 9, The Possessed by Marjorie Liu and Santa Clara. Really enjoyed this series overall. Follows a young woman who has this god monster thing inside of her, and that is really cool. And we're at war. I think like the story is very intriguing and the art is pretty. I am a bit confused sometimes because it's a long time between every volume for me. But it's still like enjoyable story, and I feel like as now I read 9 volumes, I'm like more into it than ever, and I'm curious to see how it all play out. And like we are not even, I feel like, close to the end, so I'm curious to how long the series will go, but I assume it's gonna be epic. Yay. And that is all the books I read from January. I am exhausted now in my voice, even though like I feel like I shortened down a lot. But that was all the books I read. Hopefully, unless I've forgotten something. Wouldn't be the first time, you know? And that is what I want to say. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a cat emoji down below for the cutie catty. There's lots of cats in Monstrous, so it hits. If you enjoyed this, you should see me soon in a new one. I hope your January reading went well. Leave also a comment if you want to of your favorite read down below. And you should see me soon. Bye!